All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Product Talk with Malthi. This is our live webinar. Thanks to folks who have joined us on a working day, evening, 5 o'clock. And I'm really, really excited about the topic that we are talking about today, which is around AI voice agents. And when I just looked around, I collaborated with Piyush, and he's the one of the person who can do best, I would say, judgment to this particular topic, given he's in the trenches work building one such product by himself, right? So as we get started, thank you, Piyush, for joining us here today.
Most welcome. It will be, I'm assuming it will be a lot of fun, lot of gyan I've gathered over the period of last 1 year for voice AI agents. I might blurt out a little too much, but happy to look forward to all of this.
Yeah, no, definitely looking forward to hear that. And this is one of the primary use cases which folks, and we have seen, typically when I say that organizations are going towards AI adoption, I basically look at it three ways, right? Automation, augmentation, and transformation. And I think voice AI agents are one who are kind of the most impactful in the whole automation space. There are a variety of use case. So okay, before we kind of jump into it, let me at least start with a brief introduction for Piyush, and you will hear a lot more of words of wisdom as we kind of go along. He is somebody who comes with about 17 years of experience and specializes in AI voice agents across platforms, brands, and use cases. Wow, from chatbots to analytics driven insights to adaptive playback commentary. And he has worked with multiple brands like Airtel, Hindustan Times, and Naukri, and also have worked with startups. So he has looked at both worlds of large enterprise organizations as well as with startups. So, over to you, Piyush. I want to kind of understand. The first question is that now you've been like into the trenches of building voice AI agents. What have been some of the most promising use cases for voice AI agents, where you have seen the benefits? So, just would love to have you walk through that.
How I'll start this is that some cases are industry specific, and there are some cases which are agnostic across the industries, right? One case which we did not build for when we started building it, we were back in 2024, we were of a very clear mindset. People will call in, AI will answer, it will work as a customer support agent, and it can answer anything, it is better than this, it is better than that. And when my sales team used to go out and sell and I used to call up members, we realized that yes, customer support is important. And I just posted about this today as well. But in the organizations, and specifically smaller organizations, there is a lot of effort which goes out in doing new sales. And this is exactly what we teach in project management, that getting or retaining one customer is much lower in cost versus getting one, right? So I think that hasn't truly been implemented anywhere. It is all in theory and people not necessarily implement it, and those organizations who do implement it do well. But having said that, there were very limited cases where people wanted to solve for incoming calls. Okay, which means that it was not coming out as a very big use case. There were very few cases other than probably BFSIs who had some people calling in. And now
Mhm.
with the advent and advancement of new age mobile apps, that also have kind of, they've given a lot of facilities on the app itself so that you don't have to call.
Correct.
uh, so which means that the use case of incoming call was kind of, from a business perspective for us, was kind of maybe only 15-20%. But
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of requests of outgoing calls. Can it
Okay.
make sales?
Hmm.
Can it qualify a lead? Can it
Hmm.
talk to my customer when I, by making an outbound call for X use case, Y use case, can it fix an appointment for me? So very slowly and steadily we started saying that, okay, we'll try an outbound call as well, because I was very, very skeptical, to be honest, for outbound calls, especially in 2024, when technology was also relatively slower. Now, we were probably in the GPT-4 earlier phase at that time. There was, I think, hardly any Gemini in the market. Uh, Now we are at ChatGPT. ChatGPT has evolved over the period of time. Not necessarily five, but even four models have evolved decently. Gemini has caught up very, very quickly, right? So the thing with outbound call is that to make an outbound call, not only you need best of the latencies, but you also need best of the voices so that you can hold the customer when he's calling in. It is his work or their work that they want to get done, even if it is like a 5-second delay in me speaking, even if it is a bad voice. Customer wants to get their work done. If they want to know how do I cancel the check that I've raised, if I tell them that, even if I tell them with a 5-second latency, they're okay with it. But if I'm calling somebody to sell something or qualify them for something, the latency was very, very important. The quality of the voice was very, very important. So all these parameters have evolved over the period of time. Thus latency has gone down. And now the use case that we started this discussion with is for lead qualification. Lead qualification is a very business industry agnostic use case which has come out very, very clearly. There are a lot of businesses who run ads on Google, Meta, physical collection of data in any manner, and then they would want to call these people or connect with these people. It could be call, it could be WhatsApp, it could be somehow, but connect with these people for further discussions. But what they eventually figured out, and they lived with it forever before, I would say, voice AI kind of came in, is that 50 to 60% of these leads were kind of junk. Or maybe junk is a stronger word, but not relevant. Let's just say that you were running a ad for giving out loans, right? People would look at loan on Instagram and then they would press and fill up their details. But when you talk to them, you'll probably realize that this person is maybe looking for a car loan and you only do home loan. Okay. Or maybe this person is looking for a personal loan of 5 lakh rupees, but you don't do it below 10 lakh rupees.
Correct.
Or maybe they are, I don't know, based out of Bhagalpur, and you don't do anything in tier 2 cities, right? So a lot of these cases were not relevant. But what was happening is that there was a lot of manpower being spent on calling these people, and eventually realizing that only 40% of these people were relevant.
Hmm.
And also there was a decent bit of delay in that, because let's just
Hmm.
say you got 1,000. So I'll give you another calculation. uh, a normal human agent can only make about 5,000 minutes of calling in a month.
Okay.
If you translate it to about, let's say, 2 minutes per conversation, that means about 2,500 calls. That means about, maybe about 100 calls a day. That's motamoti it, which with, probably some entry in the CRM time that they spend, time in terms of some manual calling that they would have to do, some disposition that they would have to fill, and things like that, right? So to call up these 5,000 leads, you would need one person to do these calling for the entire month, right?
Correct.
And obviously you can keep on adding more people, and then you can divide the matrix accordingly. But of course, with AI coming in, you can do it like in a matter of one day itself, or
Hmm.
maybe just a matter of couple of hours itself, right?
Right.
So which means that now you are not bound from qualifying those leads or putting these people right on top of your funnel immediately, or maybe a step further into your funnel immediately,
Hmm.
rather than waiting for you to for 1 month. Now you're limited by only how much you can scale.
Hmm.
So
Got
if
it.
you're an education company, who's we work with education companies who sell online courses of, let's say, ISO certification, or some AI courses, or online MBAs, so now they can get 1 lakh leads from Meta if they have the budget,
Right.
and you can qualify them in like 2 days.
Okay. I probably want to go a little deeper here, Piyush. That fantastic examples of industry agnostics and inbound versus these, especially the outbound sales generation. But especially when you're trying to sell something, right? I mean, there is a lot of nuances, especially from a customer expectations. They might want to go deeper. So, how do you see the effectiveness of an AI agent compared to a human agent in terms of quality lead conversion, for example, and or customer expectations match versus mismatch? Any thoughts around that? What has worked? What has not worked?
Uh, so two things over here. Okay, it bottom line is it cannot sell in the current scenario.
Hmm.
Current state, it cannot sell. When I used to give demo of my product in January 2025,
Mm-hmm.
people would be absolutely wowed by, oh wow, the voice is so good, oh it is able to respond, oh it is able to understand what is happening and this and that. So people were wowed by this.
Okay.
Over the period of 6 8 months, the expectations have changed drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody is like कि यार ये मेरे को लग रहा है maybe it is speaking in 2 seconds. I would want it to be 1.5 second or 1 second. Okay,
Hmm.
or maybe it is not saying this word properly or that word properly. But bottom line is that it will not be able to sell in the current space. So all the use cases that we get are
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily of selling, but
Okay.
of satisfying the inquisitiveness of the customer at that point.
Okay.
Okay, which means that this is a warm client in some manner.
Hmm. Okay.
We are trying to put them either back in the funnel or put them further ahead in the funnel,
Got it. Got it.
and not necessarily I've done the sale, I'm sending you the payment link right now, can you make the payment?
Got it.
That is something that is not happening. For example, again going back to the education example, so we call up these customers have either shown interest or had taken a similar certification maybe 1 year ago.
Hmm.
So when we call these customers, now we tell them that you had taken a certain certification, now do you want to upgrade to a XYZ certification of ISO?
Okay. Got it.
So then they might have one or two questions back and forth, or three or four questions back and forth, in terms of when is the course starting, what is the fees, or what will I get in this certification, what is it useful for. And all of this conversation it can have very naturally.
Hmm.
But if it is a cold call, then also, and we do cold calls as well. Okay,
Okay.
but again the objective of the cold call is very different. The objective is not to sell, but the
Okay.
objective is to just gauge whether the person is interested for further discussions or not.
Okay. So it's kind of distilling, and if I have to say, maybe to create awareness, a deeper awareness than probably what they just saw in the ad.
Yes, yes,
Got it.
yes.
Any experiences where you felt that the agent, kind of performed miserably versus vis-a-vis the customer expectations? Any such
All the
instances?
time, all the time, every single day, every single hour, this happens all the time. uh, it fails horribly in a lot of cases. I'll give you an example. So there is I'll talk a bit about uh, how the technology kind of works. Okay, so when you use so what happens is that when people are talking, okay, the voice gets converted into text, the text goes into LLM,
Okay.
and LLM sends the text back, which gets converted into voice.
Hmm.
This is the simple flow of how a voice AI agent works.
Mm-hmm.
Depending upon a certain use case, we boost certain keywords so that those keywords are caught properly by the AI agent. So,
Okay.
for example, if it's a healthcare use case, we will boost keywords related to healthcare, or which we feel will come in this conversation, so
Mm-hmm.
that it does not miss those keywords.
Mm-hmm.
In understanding those keywords, it does not miss them, right? So there was a case wherein there was this was a healthcare. client, and we had, so the flow was that we would call these customers up, and we will ask them that you had given us a query, are you looking for an XYZ treatment? So this person, so the negative flow was that when this person would say no, then we would ask them that, is somebody in your family seeking a such treatment, because maybe you would have done it for your father or your brother or somebody else, right? uh, so we had boosted keywords like ma, beta, bhai, behan. These keywords were boosted because we wanted, agar koi bole ke mere father ke liye chahiye, to accordingly it will catch up. And what started happening was that this person would say that मैं नहीं ढूंढ रहा हूँ, और फिर वो एआई वुड से दैट, अच्छा आपकी फैमिली में क्या कोई इस बीमारी का इलाज ढूंढ रहा है, एंड बीमारी कुड बी, इट कुड बी रियली बैड, राइट? And then this person would say nahi ya no ya whatever, and then AI would suddenly blurt out, कि अच्छा आपकी माँ को ये बीमारी हो गई है.
Hmm.
And the co-founder of the company just got mad. He said, Piyush, how is this happening? This is like just spoiling my brand left, right, and center. I said, I'm really sorry. Let me just figure out what is happening. And why this was, why this was happening. You have to understand this. The conversations are so real, Malti. People would quote our agent as Bhavna madam, Bhavna ma'am, ये प्रॉब्लम, अच्छा मैम हमको ये प्रॉब्लम हो रही है. So
Hmm.
that ma'am word was sometimes getting boosted as ma.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
MAAM.
Right. Okay.
Right? So it was getting converted and boosted as ma.
Hmm.
And that is why this quotation was coming out from AI agent.
Hmm.
Right? So even though, they were actually not recognizing that they were calling to an AI and actually saying madam, yeah, ma'am, yeah, something like that to make it real, and it was messing up because of some flaws that are there in the technology right now. So
Right.
these kind of things happen.
Yeah, I remember a similar instance which when I'd gone to, I think, one of the conferences. This was for one of the banks, and they said ki, they had implemented in Hindi in multiple. Now in Hindi within itself, there are so many dialects, right? Exactly as he said. I remember this person saying that when we rolled it out somewhere in Gorakhpur, or I think the northern part of UP. Typically, when people pick up phone, they will say hello, hanji, boliye, something like that. And there is this person, when the first call went away, he said, "Kaun be?" And the model just didn't know how to react.
Exactly, so that is why I said, it just cannot do it for sales, because you don't know what is going to come out,
Right, right, right.
right?
But
You
then, how do
cannot.
you? How, sorry, just one thing. How do you handle these kind of errors or mistakes gracefully?
कुछ cases के लिए guardrails, we try and put guardrails in certain cases.
Okay.
But see, where is technology? The technology is where it gets messed up the most,
Hmm.
at the transcriber level.
Right.
It is not the synthesizer which is converting text to voice which is messing up. It is very rarely LLM that is messing up. There is a case of hallucination, but I would say it has gone down over the period of last couple of months, and I'm sure it'll that is something that will get solved over the period of next 6 months more as well. But at transcriber level, currently in voice AI agents, it is a big problem,
Hmm.
because the conversion when voice to text happens, that dialect plays a very big part in this voice to text, depending upon how that transcriber has been trained. And to train it on multiple accents is a challenge.
Right.
So when you talk about, tier 2, tier 3 cities, and we make those calls in tier 2, tier 3 cities, we call in Bhagalpur, we call in Ayodhya, we call in Raebareli, and accents is a very big problem.
Correct.
You can put in के फार्मर है, वो बोलेगा हम खेती करते हैं, इट गेट्स, इट विल गेट स्टक. जैसे आपने बोला कौन बे, the conversation, that when the translation goes out, if some, AI agents have become so smart now that even when they get, so what happens is that this text will come out. So for example, con bay, okay, this con bay will come out and then it will go into LLM, and LLM will make a sense out of it from the training that it has for that particular use case, and it will try to respond that way,
Hmm.
even though it might get a very junk response when it is a longer sentence. Sometimes when you look at the transcript of the conversation which has happened on voice AI, you look at the transcript, you will laugh
Hmm.
that the person is actually saying this, the transcript is actually so bad, and despite of that bad transcript, the AI was able to still give a very decent accurate response,
Okay.
because it has a decent understanding of the environment that हाँ ये 6 words आए हैं मेरे पास, ये 6 words में से 3 or 2 are absolute junk,
Okay. So it
but
gets the
from
context.
these 4 I can still make the context of what the person was trying to say.
Got it.
So
Got
AI
it.
agents to a great extent are saving grace at this moment,
Got
but
it.
the transcripts are really, really a big problem right now. And if you look at a lot of companies in the space right now, and not I'm not talking about companies like me, but companies which are specifically focused on building voice, you will very rarely find somebody building transcript. It
Hmm.
is a very hard thing to do. You will not
Right.
be able to recall on top of your head this is the company which is working on transcript.
Okay.
It is a hard thing to do, and specifically for, training it for different dialects and things like that.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
People
I
are
get it.
coming up with their own voices. Of course, there are certain companies which are far ahead in terms of voices, but you will see a lot of companies which are there in the voice space, but very limited companies in the transcriber space.
Okay, I think probably I have a couple of follow-up questions based on my limited understanding of the space. But since there are quite a few questions which have come up in the context which you and I were talking about, is that I think this whole dialect and accents, especially within Indian languages, is a very, very complex problem, right? So, in your AI stack, this is a question which has come from both Chaitali and Suparna, is that how do you construct from a tech stack perspective integrating the local Indian languages?
So दो चीजें हैं, right? There are, so by default in previous life, when you go, let's say, 1 year back or even further, the transcript life was still there.
Hmm.
Okay, people would upload their voice audios and the transcript would happen. And even in case of the dubbings, that there will be like CC, and the titles will come in and things like that. So the world has solved for these problems,
Hmm.
but what was not there earlier was these were bulk uploads and then bulk resolutions. In case of voice AI, it's a real time transcript.
Correct.
In case of real time transcript, the time to estimate and guesstimate and respond is very limited from the transcriber side as well.
Hmm.
So they are streaming the response as it comes.
Hmm.
In the same transcriber, if you load an audio which me and you are talking about, it will give you a far more accurate response, even for the worst of accents.
Okay.
But during live conversations, it makes mistakes
Right.
because it does not have enough time.
Hmm.
So transcribers give out something which is called end pointing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which means that they say, and the best of the transcribers say, please wait for at least 800 seconds to 1 second for us to give you like a higher, there is something called WER, word error rate, a
Okay.
better word error rate response,
Okay.
so that we are making least mistakes out of it.
Okay. While the
Now towards the question in terms of what do you do in terms of the local accents,
hmm.
unfortunately the systems that are available in the market, and there are some famous ones like deepgram which people use these days. There is Azure, which was very popular back in the time, but they probably not evolved as quickly as they should have as far as the transcribers are concerned for
Hmm.
real time conversations. There is an Indian one which is Sarvam, of course, they are doing a decent job as well. But everybody clearly quotes that there is a word error rate which will be there in the transcriber life.
Okay.
Okay. And sometimes, even if the word error rate is, let's say, 80%, it may not mess up.
Hmm.
But sometimes just one word in the entire sentence can disturb the entire flow.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Just one word in the entire sentence can change the meaning of the sentence. And if the meaning of the sentence has changed, the AI will respond with the changed meaning.
Change context.
And it will change the context, and then customer will think कि यार अरे मैंने तो ये बोला था, why are you talking about this,
Correct.
right? For example, I'll tell you the problem of transcriber across the globe. And this is not just Indian accent, this is not just tier 3 accent, this is American accent, European accent, Italian accent. Almost no voice AI agents take phone numbers and email addresses today,
Hmm.
because they are not able to understand the numbers correctly, the
Okay.
letters correctly.
Ah, okay. Correct.
A V can be a B, can be a P,
Hmm.
right?
Got it.
When I'm talking about the number, जब मैं भी आपको अपना number बताऊंगा, you will listen to my number, you will say, okay Piyush, you said 9875. You are saying with a question mark. The transcriber does not send it out with a question mark.
Right. Right.
So then it is a lot of back and forth which happens, and then the customer will get frustrated,
Hmm.
right?
Got it.
So when even about names, it will mess up a lot of names when it is collecting that name,
Hmm. Got it.
right? अभिजीत बोला था, या कभिजीत बोला था, या गुलजीत बोला था. It will make those mistakes.
Yeah. Even when we have a human on the other side, right? I remember, for example, if I'm booking my ticket with an agent, for example, they will always say, okay, M as in Maldives, L as in Lucknow, right? So they'll always make sure that, they're actually referring to the right character. Because when you're booking a ticket, for example, you don't want to mess up with somebody's name.
So that is why what is happening is that there is a combination of efforts which is happening, which is, you can do this work on voice, and you can do this work with combination of voice and, let's say, WhatsApp, and or maybe chat and things like that. But again, very honestly, for the time being, and if you look at yourself also, right? I mean, like, for example, when was the last time when you booked a ticket on a call, right?
Very, very long time back.
Very, very long time. So we don't unnecessarily have to try and create use cases for voice AI just because voice AI is there.
Correct, correct.
It Every technology has its own limitations. It will have its own. So again, going back to the example of giving a phone number. So अगर आप मुझे phone number दे रहे होगे, आप you will know that I will not be able to probably write all the 10 digits in one shot.
Hmm.
So you will say Piyush 9872, and then you will pause, let's say, for 2 seconds, and then you will speak again, right? But voice AI agents have something called a sensitivity meter, wherein they detect silence in the voice.
Mm-hmm.
SAD, silence audio detected.
Okay.
When they detect this silence, they will speak.
Hmm.
So when you pause by saying 9872, and you were saying, AI will say, okay. But AI did not say okay, because AI was trained to listen to a 10 digit mobile number coming from you.
Right,
But you did not give a 10 digit mobile number. So
right.
then AI will say, I'm sorry, I did not get, I think you gave me a wrong number, or I did not get the entire 10 digits. Can you give me the entire 10 digits?
Yeah,
But Malti's brain is still not trained to give 10 digits in one shot. So
right.
she will still say probably slowly, or she will say very quickly. And
Correct.
then I will mess up by not realizing that 9 was something else.
Right.
And then I will ask you again, oh, you said, I think again you did not give me the entire 10-digit number. So
I I do recall having this kind of an issue where up to three, four times I kind of said my numbers and it did not register.
exactly. So,
Okay.
names, collecting, not speaking.
Hmm.
I'll talk about the speaking use case also. So collecting names, mobile
Hmm.
numbers, email addresses, again a combination of names in a way, it does mess up.
Hmm.
Even cities, for example, sometimes we will call healthcare, we will call patients and we will say, okay, which आप कौन सी city से बोल रहे हो, and they will name a certain city. I'm not able to collect that city properly.
Hmm.
Where it messes up in terms of voice, that's the pronunciation.
Right.
Okay. So my name, for example, is spelled in a certain manner in English Latin characters,
Hmm.
but when you speak it the way AI agent is trained, when they speak it, they will read those Latin characters and pronounce it in a way that a Latin character is supposed to be pronounced if they are present.
Correct.
But my name is not pronounced that way,
Hmm.
right? Let's say a Ritesh is pronounced in a certain way, but written in Latin characters in a certain manner.
Hmm.
But when you give it in Latin characters as a variable of a name, and you say, "Hello, am I talking to Ritesh?" It does. It might make a completely nuance out of that name and says a very different pronunciation,
Correct.
because actual spellings of Ritesh in Latin characters were probably not that.
Right. Right.
So sometimes then we have to convert these Latin characters into Devanagari Lippi
Hmm.
and write Ritesh as it is written in Devanagari Lippi, and then it is pronounced correctly.
Okay. Yeah. In fact, there is one question which says, according to you, which is the best transcriber solution provider in the market today?
So I think I would probably say universally used is something deepgram, uh, is something which is universal. It works well
Okay.
in Indian context because it has Hindi and English languages as well. But
Mm-hmm.
again, if you are looking for, let's say, Tamil, you're looking for Telugu, you're looking for Gujarati, then
Hmm.
deepgram will not work. Then you'll
Okay.
probably have to go to either Azure or you'll have to go to server.
Right. Right. Wow. Yeah, that is correct. So one, just going back to the use cases that you were talking about. So for example, there was a time very recently I was building a something like a mock interviewer, right? And initially we thought, we are going to look for the tonality, the confidence score of the person who's talking, look for, filler words, and based on that, we started to give the confidence. So initially we thought we are going to do a voice to voice kind of a this things, but what we realized is that cost was a major issue. There was a lot of hallucinations that we were looking at. We looked at a lot of times, as you said, even before I finished, the model, started to respond or have a follow up and stuff like that. So eventually, Piyush, what happened? We moved to a speech to text and text to speech kind of these things. And over there, because of this whole transcribing, I'm completely losing any kind of softer aspects of the tone, punctuations, filler words, and stuff like that, right? So when you are kind of looking at what is your assessment of this thing, in terms of maturity of these voice to voice versus moving it to speech to text and text to speech, what has been your experience?
So, voice to voice, I think, is definitely something which will solve probably a lot of these problems that we are having.
Right.
But then it comes with its own problems in terms of having these accents that we are talking about, right? I mean,
Right.
again, it is like it is like training on everything,
Right.
right? Accent by accent, you will have to keep on training it so that it is able to have that conversation.
Hmm.
What we just talked about is that AI agent does, or the transcriber currently in most of the cases would not send a question mark,
Hmm.
right? So even when we do greetings, people would say hello, and this hello is hello with a question mark, right?
Correct.
But AI would obviously consider this hello as a hello, and then it will continue, right?
Correct.
So probably voice to voice, this thing will solve some of these problems.
Hmm.
But again, it is a different beast to train it. It will probably have a very different costing mechanism as well.
Right.
The issues that it should solve is the question marks. The issue that it should solve is that because currently, three different parameters are used, which is voice to text, text to voice, LLM, the latency is there by default. This latency will come down. So when a normal human agents are interacting, the latency speed is somewhere close to 300 to 400 milliseconds.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I and you will acknowledge and call and talk in that speed, right? AI agents probably are close to about anywhere close to about 2 seconds, I would say, realistically and practically. Anybody who
Okay.
says, it's 1 second, it is not 1 second, right? Uh, we feel that even when you type something in chat GPT, and even if you are a paid user, you feel that they've responded very quickly to you.
Hmm.
But when you try and put it in, let's say, a playground, they give you a millisecond response time.
Hmm.
And that millisecond response time is very, very rarely below 500 milliseconds. Very, very rarely.
Right.
So, which means 500 milliseconds to only LLM ही ले रहा है,
Correct.
right? And then there is a transcriber timeline. Then
Correct.
there is a synthesizer timeline. Then there is a decent latency of the network itself.
Correct.
So it's anywhere around 2 seconds, which if all the systems, which is text to voice, voice to text, LLM, are all in one place, the latency might come down a bit.
Down.
But I have we've done a lot of calls now. Honestly, latency has not been a very big challenge of where
Okay.
it is right now.
Okay.
In some cases, it does mess up, but it's a rare, I would say, 3-5% case where it will like respond after a longer gap, or a clearly visible gap.
Okay.
But in the reason people are saying Bhavna madam or Bhavna ma'am, despite 2 second latency, is
Hmm.
because people are not feeling that latency to be a deterrent in the conversation.
Right.
It is in our mind, as as maybe I'm trying to be a little too harsh on people trying to solve this, but trying to solve something that product people try to solve but is not P0,
Okay. Great. Completely.
right?
Completely.
It is not P0.
Hmm.
It is a problem, yes. I'm not denying it's not a problem, but it is not breaking anything right now.
Hmm.
And probably 1 year from now, irrespective of how real the voice is going to be, people are going to know that they're talking to an AI.
Hmm.
And when they're talking to an AI, your expectations are set accordingly.
Yeah. Correct.
When we there are cases when for brands we make a outbound call, or when we are receiving a call, we tell the customer that you're talking to an AI agent.
Hmm.
So the behavior of the customer changes to an empathy from their side as well, until unless it's a cold call. If it is a warm call, they will try and give the information if they're interested, despite knowing that it's an AI call.
Hmm. Okay.
And right now, this ratio is 5 to 95.
Okay.
My gut and assumption is that in 1 year's time, the ratio is going to change drastically. I'm not saying 95-5, but it's going to change drastically.
Hmm.
And maybe at that time, you don't need a sub 1 second latency for people knowing that they're talking to an AI and AI is responding like this. It might not matter.
Correct. Correct.
What might matter is that I spoke this sentence with a question mark. Did you get that question mark or not?
Correct.
I said this sarcastically. Did you get it? So, for example, I'll give you an example of sarcasticness. We called somebody for fixing an appointment. We fixed an appointment. Then there was a qualification questions. Aapki age kitni hai, salary kitni hai, and this like. वी सेड सैलरी कितनी है, उसने बोला मेरी सैलरी इतनी है, हमने बोला कि आपकी एज कितनी, ही सेड 42. सो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज आपकी शादी हो गई है कि नहीं. सो ही सेड, सो एआई सेड आपकी शादी हो गई है. सो ही इज लाइक 42 के हो गए हैं, शादी नहीं हुई होगी क्या? एंड एआई प्रिंटेड इन द डिस्पोजिशन शादी नहीं हुई है.
Oh, because it hurt. नहीं हुई होगी क्या करके तो okay.
एग्जैक्टली.
Interesting, right?
Right. So, and so now for the audience, where the guardrail I had set from my side, I
Right.
knew that these situations will come. I had removed any sort of acknowledgement irrespective of what response was coming.
Okay.
शादी हो गई है तो भी एक्नॉलेजमेंट नहीं है, शादी नहीं हुई है तो भी एक्नॉलेजमेंट नहीं है, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है.
So it's like a very monologue, just kind of.
लाइक सो आई से आपकी एज कितनी है, आपने बोला 42. मैंने आपको बोला तो आपकी शादी हो गई है क्या, आपने बोला हो गई है. आई से ओके,
अगला question.
नहीं
Okay.
हुई है, ओके, आगे. So
Okay.
it's like saving yourself from any sort of problem when the sarcastic remark or something that you don't understand comes across, so that you save yourself from these situations.
Right.
This is where the prompting takes time, this is where the error handling takes time, this is where the whole build up of the agent takes time.
Right. And how, I mean, now just going a little deeper on that, Piyush, how has the success metrics, has that evolved for a voice agent? And by constantly monitoring that, what have you seen improve? Have you seen the engagement of the customer in the call has improved? Call duration has improved. So would love to understand a little bit deeper on that perspective. You spoke about, I think, word error rate. You spoke about a couple of other things. So if you could just summarize that.
So from which perspective are you talking? From a customer perspective, are you talking from our perspective in terms of
No,
building?
from your perspective.
So because we built so many agents now across industry, across use cases, there are, I would say that 50 to 60% of the error cases are kind of common.
Okay.
So now at this stage, we know how to handle those use cases.
Hmm.
So we never get stuck in those use cases, unlike somebody who's probably doing it for the first or the second time.
Okay.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप आज की डेट में वो एजेंट बना लोगे जाके कहीं पर भी जहां पर सेल्फ सर्व प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, और यू डोंट नो दैट व्हाई इज इट प्रोनाउंसिंग माय नेम रॉन्ग, then it will take you a whole different time to figure out that, oh, I might have given it in Devanagari Lipi, or if it's a Tamil name, I would have probably given it in Abu Gidda Lipi. It would have spoken it correctly.
Correct.
Right? So अब हमको, but we know all these use cases now because we've been doing it for quite some time, so we understand a lot of loopholes of where, like, no acknowledgement, so where a transcriber will mess up or might mess up, where a synthesizer will mess up, where an AI, the LLM that is being used, where the limitations are. So because of that knowledge base that we have, and not, I would not go ahead and say documented anywhere, but the experience knowledge base that we have been able to build better agents for organizations in faster timeline in comparison to what we used to do earlier.
Right.
So the first agent I had built in 2024 versus what I do now, there is a drastic difference. And if I go back to that 2024 agent, I myself am not able to understand why something has been written. So this is also something which is something for the audience to understand, which is very, very important, is that even if I today give you an agent of a brand that I'm working with, you will not be able to use it as is. Reason being, so consider, Malti, consider this to be like if I give you a source code, okay, and you have no understanding of the source code, would you be able to further make any modifications to that source code?
Absolutely not. I
Right?
need to have the context and the.
Exactly.
Right.
So when you look at the prompt, even if I give you the prompt, if you have no context, if you have no evals for why this was written in this manner at this place, there is very limited that you will be able to do with that prompt. You can steal as many prompts as you want, but you will not be able to use that prompt to your benefit because you will not know कि ये यहाँ पर क्यों लिखा है.
Correct.
And just like the code, You change one line and the whole thing can go for a toss.
Hmm.
The entire conversation can fall apart. You will not realize that ये तो flow ठीक चल रहा था, मैंने यहाँ पर I have not even touched it, why has this gone for a toss?
Right.
So it is very, it's a very delicate piece that gets built over the period of time, something that organizations today also don't realize.
Hmm.
They feel that AI agent को train करना है, क्या ही है, हम आपको script दे तो रहे हैं. And if you look at the script that they give, you will feel that what is this? You try and build your own AI agent with this script and you will see कि क्या हो रहा है.
Right.
And how do they give scripts? I know this. What they will do is they will go ahead and put, their input in chat gpt, and chat gpt will throw out that script and then they will give it to me.
Hmm.
So the thing with chat gpt or gemini, or the problem with these ai agents is that they are trained on so much of written text
Hmm.
that when they do a sentence formation for your use case, they do it in a manner that somebody is reading out of a text
Yeah.
and not necessarily a natural conversation.
Right.
So over the period of next 8 to 12 months or maybe a year, you'll see a lot of jobs coming. So for example, there was nothing called a prompt engineer job. There is a prompt engineer job now. There is something which is going to come up, which is a conversational creative conversational builder.
Hmm.
So to writing a prompt is a different thing. To create that conversation is like a UX UI on top of the code that you built.
Hmm.
What kind of words should be used to make the conversation feel real?
Right.
जो नेचुरल अटरेंसेस आप और हम करते हैं, क्या वो देखिए बोलेगा कि अच्छा देखिए मैं आपको ये बता रहा हूं?
Hmm.
बट जब आप टेक्स्ट में उसको लिखोगे तो देखिए वर्ड कभी भी
Kari
नहीं आता.
aayega. Correct.
So that conversation intelligence, people will come up with those job statuses that those conversation intelligence has to come.
Correct.
Now, where Peush Bery struggles in this, he does not know that nuances in Tamil.
Hmm.
I would not know those nuances in Spanish.
Hmm.
Chat GPT or Gemini might know, but I don't know how to trust them.
Right.
Right? So these are some of the limitations which a respective person with knowledge of that local understanding would have to solve.
Correct.
But this creates a difference, or a different challenge in terms of solving an AI problem with more manpower.
Hmm.
Right? So that means we have to evolve in a direction of solving these local conversational word dialect in the agent so that it talks in that manner.
Correct. So there will be new families of jobs definitely coming in.
Of course.
I think there is one question from Chaitanya where he's asking, do you think government sector ERPs are ready for AI-powered voice agents? Any potential challenges that you think we might face in implementing them?
So one is what we discussed, right? I mean, government projects are always made for everybody, right?
Hmm.
And voice is definitely a wonderful medium for everybody, considering that I was talking to somebody for uh, Bihar elections coming up,
Hmm.
right? So we were talking to them, and they said, "Yeah, what else can you do? Because we know that it's not a probably a smartphone penetrated market, right? So voice is a best medium,
Hmm.
but it is going to have an issue like what you just mentioned right at the start is Conbay and multiple accents which are present in Bihar.
Hmm.
So that is why a lot of projects which government today wants to initiate and companies want to work with government for initiating those voice projects, because of, I think government is definitely trying to figure out for 112, which is their call helpline number across At least it's there in northern part of India. I don't know of southern part of India, but 112 is something that people call for helpline, and police and this that, and things like that in UP. uh, they want to solve that. And
Hmm.
police personnel have told us that they would want their people who've been trained to be police and out in the field to be out in the field and not necessarily attending these calls,
Hmm.
because they get so many calls. And imagine the word error rate in police calls has to be like
Minimum.
6 sigma.
Hmm.
It
Correct.
cannot mess up. Somebody is calling for their life and death situation and it cannot mess up.
Hmm.
The whole
Correct.
thing can go for a toss, right? So government, I'm sure, wants to implement a lot of these things, but
Hmm.
that I don't think the technology is there right now. It is going to take some time. And of course, there are budgetary issues also that they will have, because they want to do it in a certain costing and things like that. But maybe 2 years down the line, not right now. I'm not sure right now.
Right. No, no, that's a wonderful. The police example which you spoke about is a wonderful example. Shaz has a question. What is a business moat? Is it the tech stack or the custom trained model? What is a moat here?
I don't know if it's a question mark or if it's a exclamation
It's a
mark,
question mark.
because in the AI world there is uh, hardly a moat these days. But I'll tell you what's the moat. Okay, in a SaaS world where in the past life everybody can build a CRM. It's a code. The system comes in. This is where you store the information. This is how it will interact with your other systems and things like that. If you look at ERP, for example, or SAP, for example, it's just a bunch of code and probably a very bad interface code that has been customized and written and this like that, right? So what is their moat? Their moat is that they are so deeply integrated in Airtel now that it is impossible to get them out.
Hmm.
Airtel does not want to spend 5 crore rupees 2 years to take ERP out to figure something out for themselves.
Correct.
So the moat one is deeper and deeper integration, which organizations like myself will do with multiple enterprises.
Hmm.
Two is the AI agent that I have trained for them.
Right.
If they want to migrate to somebody else, they will have to do the training exercise all over again.
Right.
It will take its own time.
Correct.
So movement is a pain, which is a moat. While pitching something to a client of I am the winner versus X is the winner, there is no moat.
Agree. So building deeper vertical contextual products is where the moat is. And of course, beyond product, there could be domain knowledge, it could be distribution channels, depending upon what
So
you're
I think
building.
we did discuss this, right? There are a lot of, so again, talking from a product perspective, right? I mean, so when you try to build something, you can always create a endless product pipeline.
Hmm.
And in startup, there are hardly any resources, right? There are literally like no resources, right? So which means that every time you try to put in a feature, you'll have to figure out that this is like literally life and death or not,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of brands have built a self-serve model
Hmm.
in Indian context also and in international context also.
Okay.
The reality of the ground is that one, that only a very limited population knows how to write a perfect prompt or a good prompt to play around with evals.
Hmm.
Second, even when you write that prompt, you might be only able to get an accuracy level of 80%.
Hmm.
Not in terms of the mess up that the entire thing does, the text to speech and this, that, but in terms of what you have been able to achieve from the prompt that you have written.
Hmm.
So you might be able to get off the ground very quickly,
Right.
put in my prompt, and oh yes, it was able to make that call. It will
Right.
be able to make that call. But to run that system end to end,
Hmm.
to get those dispositions right, to
Right.
get it integrated everywhere
Hmm.
is a real challenge.
Right.
Which means that, so for example, we have not focused on a self-serve model at all.
Okay.
With our clients, we also have very limited places where we've given dashboard as well. When I
Mm-hmm.
say dashboard, literally the numbers of calls that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they get that report in their CRM. We send it back to their CRM, they get it in their CRM,
Right.
or in whatever manner that they want to.
Right.
So nobody has necessarily come to us and said, you guys don't have dashboard, and we don't want to have a deal with you.
Hmm.
Or you don't have a self-serve model, I want to work on a self-serve model. Self-serve model is great when you want to get off the ground,
Hmm.
but it does not necessarily work in production without the help
Enough.
of,
Hmm. Got it.
right? So those are certain challenges that you face. So from, I'm just giving this from, because the audience is probably a lot of product oriented. So from a product
Right.
perspective, I think it is important to understand what is the need of the hour, which is actually going to run your office, or what is actually going to run your business.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So maybe I mean I never realized how quickly the hour passed by, Piyush. But one last question for the the audience here would be, if somebody wants to start building an AI voice agent, where should they get started? What skills do they need to have? How should one get started?
So understand the technology stack
Hmm.
once, right?
Hmm.
Couple of things I did touch upon, voice to text, text to voice, LLM in between. Understand the LLMs.
Hmm.
Okay, you have to understand which LLM you have to use. A lot of clients I talk to, and with limited knowledge, they would tell me that, "Acha Gemini 2.5 use kar lo."
Hmm.
That's like the best model out there, I know, but that is not necessarily the model that is to be used for voice AI, because in voice AI you need something which responds quickly as well, and not just spends time in thinking.
Hmm.
So when somebody spends time in thinking, their response is obviously much better. But when somebody responds faster, their response may not be awesome.
Correct.
But with voice AI, you have to find a balance in between,
Hmm.
something which is fast and a decent response.
Correct.
So these are some nuances that you have to understand. Which
What?
models to use?
Right.
What is the prompt that you have to write, and how you have to write that prompt? You
Hmm.
have to build that structure. Who is this audience that you are going to talk to? What is the nature of this AI agent who's talking? It's a female based out of Bangalore, 30-year-old, who has understanding of uh, telehealth, and is making an outbound call to a patient who's seeking a treatment.
Hmm.
So you are setting the context,
Right.
then you are giving it scenarios,
Hmm.
then you're telling it when to end the call, then you're telling it what are the guardrails, then you're telling it what are the dispositions that you have to send. This is something that we did not touch, but disposition is something that we had higher struggle on,
Mm-hmm.
because when I give you the data, Malti, of 1,000 calls, you are least bothered of looking at those summaries that I've given you, because you will not be able to read those 1,000 summaries.
Right.
First thing that you want to filter out is how many people said yes, they are looking for treatment.
Hmm.
So that yes has to come in the disposition: interested,
Hmm.
call back, follow up, distance problem,
Hmm.
out of state. All of these dispositions have to come so that the business knows what is the next action that I have to take.
Right.
So those are some things that you will have to understand. So when you look at all of these things, then try and experiment probably with self-serve model, or please contract Xtreme Gen AI and we'll help you out with that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. No, that's something. And probably if we can take one more question, which says which LLMs are good for voice-enabled use cases, and how do you evaluate an LLM for voice-enabled use cases?
So as I said, it has to be, one, the response time, it has to be fast, and it has to be decently balanced. So if you look at, for example, you look at Gemini today, Chat GPT today, so it's got three models: Nano, then it's got 5 mini, and then it's got 5. I think
Hmm.
that those are the three models, right? So Nano is something which is very, very fast, but it will not give you a very good response. The quality of the response will not be very good,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and the topmost model, it is a delayed response. It will give you a very good answer, but delayed response. So, usually in our use cases, we use mini,
Right.
which is balance in between.
Okay.
Second thing that you'll have to look at is the costing.
Hmm.
What is the costing of each of these models? Because they very quickly add up. The
Correct.
input cost is different, the output cost is different. The
Right.
input cost takes care of your entire prompt. Your entire prompt goes in, then the prompt gets cached, and that cached costing is different. So you
Correct.
have to look at the costing as well.
Right.
When you figure out the balance between these LLMs, then is when you use. But having said that, 4o mini, 5 mini, Gemini Flash 2.0, those are the three popular models that people are generally using.
Interesting. Yeah. In fact, in our case, when Claude came in, we were using the Amazon Bedrock, and I think 4 was Claude 4 was like very brand new when it had just come, right? And we actually had some challenges, and we felt in some cases 3.5 was doing better. We were getting better responses, right? Despite the fact that the cost was same. And as you said, the for the first traffics, what was happening, we were sending a lot of input data in as part of our prompt. The cost per trip was like super expensive, right? But I think we need to remember that optimization is step number two. First of all, we have to see what is the kind of response we are getting, whether it is contextual to the conversation is happening, and then you go for optimization. And in our case, we actually ended up going to two different models depending upon the nature of the complexity of the question, right? So that is few things. Learning comes as and when you start to build.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right. I'm so glad folks who had joined in stayed for the full hour. So thank you guys for staying back, and thank you Piyush for taking the time out and as part of Xtreme AI that you guys are building. Really, really looking forward how kind of take more and more use cases, and wishing you all the success.
Sure. Thank you, Malti. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yes, same here. All right. So thank you.